because that last 2020 election was the safest election and most secure election of all time, then in this Build Back Better platform that the Democrats just slammed through in the middle of the night is so good for America and really truly going to help build back America. So just like Biden says, so I wanted to just address some of the things that were in this bill for people that aren't paying attention and just may not have the time to check it out and go digging. So Representative Republican Jim Banks from Indiana was the chairman of the Republican Study Committee, and he's cataloged many of the most radical policies in the Build Back Better Act. So this isn't all of them, but it's a good taste of just how great America's going to be once we instill these this Biden agenda. I mean, Obama. I mean, Hillary. I mean, whoever is behind it. China. I mean, well, here it is. Let's see. Either way, this is Build Back America. This is for our own good. Remember that. None of you want it. None of you may want it. But people that are much smarter than us and have our best interest in mind and care for us, our controllers, they have taken care of it. So we don't even have to think. We don't have to research. We don't have to think. We just have to let them do what they want. And that's best for us. That's how we build back better. So here we go. There's about 30 or 40 things here. Good luck. Here we go. Innovation killing socialist price controls. The bill would institute government price setting of prescription drugs, which has shown to be likely to lead to significantly decreased private investment in new cures. That's one. 2. Funds Biden's banking surveillance apparatus. The bill would spend $500 million to hire new DOJ tax division agents to bring civil and criminal cases against Americans. Sweet. 3. Removes funding prohibition regarding Uyghur Muslims in China. Democrats have removed a provision in the previous draft of the reconciliation bill, which prohibited any funding provided by the title on science, space, and technology to award a contract, subcontract, grant, or loan to an entity involved with using the forced labor of Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang province in China. This would remove protections preventing taxpayer dollars from going to entities using Uyghur Muslim slaves in China. That's something that a lot of people probably want, especially the Muslims. I could see the Democratic Muslims really liking that one. So here we go. Number 4, tax pork for trial lawyers. Page 1970. This provision modifies current law expensing rules to allow plaintiffs' attorneys to deduct out-of-pocket litigation costs in the year they are incurred, rather than waiting until the conclusion of the litigation. The provision applies to amounts paid, incurred, or received in taxable years beginning after the date of enactment. There we go. Nicotine tax. The bill would add back language imposing a new tax on nicotine, which is a clear violation of President Biden's pledge not to tax people that make under $400K. That's page 1973. Number 5, tax credit for tax credit for journalists. The bill would add back in language creating a tax credit applied against Medicare employer taxes for wages paid to journalists, because journalists are the true heroes of America. They've been getting it wrong for so many years, 50s, 40s. They've been getting it wrong all the time, but we need to donate our tax money so they can continue to propagandize us so we think they're doing good. Okay. Number 7, 21st century segregation. The bill would add back $500 million for schools of medicine, prioritizing funding based on racial demographics and requiring faculty to be hired and students to be recruited based on prioritizing racial and demographic characteristics instead of actual talent, skill, and knowledge and wisdom. But that's okay. Page 658. We've got to please everyone. Okay, here we go. 8, left-wing divisive race baiting. The bill would add back language that continues the left's divisive and race-baiting attempts to portray everyday Americans as racist and oppressive, claiming all minorities are denied a full opportunity to participate in American life. Wow, that's pretty accurate. Wonder how many people feel that way still, And, even though me and millions of other people haven't had ancestors that were slave owners, because nobody knows anything about history, we should still have to pay these people. That's okay. That makes sense. I get it. Build back better, Build back everyone else except white people. All right, $9 billion for tree equity. The bill would include a $2.5 billion slush fund that would send taxpayer dollars to radical environmental groups to plant trees and advance tree equity. Ah, so nice. These guys, they're so good to the environment. Public health indoctrination, number 10. The bill uses funding for maternal mortality as a tool to advance critical race theory, climate change, and SOGI language. Specifically, it promotes funding for racism and discrimination training curriculum, page 682. Funding for healthcare risks training to promote the left's climate change agenda, which is coming right down the pike, page 689. Number 11. Tax credits for electric bicycles. The bill would create a tax credit worth up to $900 when someone purchases an electric bicycle, and the credit wouldn't start to phase out until a family makes at least $150,000 a year. Wow, so nice. Obamacare propaganda. The bill would require HHS to advertise the expanded Obamacare tax credits in states that haven't expanded Medicaid directly to racial and sexual minorities, among others, and claims that they are hard to reach. They love just being like the victims and offering all this nice money and then taking it all on the inside. I guarantee you less than half of any of these proposed funds will actually go to any of these causes, which are not really good anyway. But this is just a way for them to continue to get rich and pillage the people like us. Number 13. Subjects small business to reckless tax penalties. The bill subjects small businesses with over $600 in transactions to back up tax withholding requirements if they fail to comply with IRS regulations, page 1932. Wow, so if you make, that's nice. You know, a lot of people are going to like that since America's founded on small businesses. Like, we deserve to be taxed, while people like Amazon get nothing. They get billions of dollars a day in profit, and they don't get taxed a penny. They don't even have to pay for shipping and handling. But you and me, if we want to send out art, beautiful art, we're going to have to get taxed, and we're going to have to pay every single thing, which makes it almost not profitable in the end. That's good. That's going to help. Number 14. Makes it easier for the IRS to target taxpayers. The bill would make it easier for the IRS to issue penalties against taxpayers by removing the requirement that each penalty assessment be approved by a supervisor. Instead, the bill would merely require supervisors to provide quarterly reports on whether IRS employees are following the proper guidelines and requirements. Oh, that sounds nice. Page 1934. I say none of us pay taxes ever again if this government continues. Nobody should pay them a penny, because I don't like my money going to evil. I don't know about you, but I don't. Number 15, money for gun control. The bill would spend $2.5 billion for community-based violence intervention initiatives, which could be used to deny the individual exercise of the Second Amendment without due process. And it will most likely, I'm just adding this, create a little psychological task force to go in there if there's a murder or a gun event. You know, they can go and they can talk people down. They don't have to have any weapons, but they can talk them down. It'll work. It will really work. Not. Number 16, perpetuates, this is highlighted from previous lists, it says. 16, perpetuates labor shortage, continues welfare benefits without work requirements for able-bodied adults without dependents at a time where there are 10.4 million job openings, more openings than there are people looking for work. But we have to initiate socialism and communism, so that's more important. Paying people to do nothing and then keeping them under your control. In order for them to get that money, they have to do whatever it takes and whatever the government tells us. That sounds good. Sounds fair. 17, pushes Green New Deal in our universities. Oh, dear Lord. Democrats include a $10 billion environmental justice higher education credit program to indoctrinate college students in advance Green New Deal policies. Page 1571. Let's face it, if you are paying to send your kid to a Democrat liberal freak school, you are getting scammed. You just might as well burn your money. And then your kids would be better off. Less brainwashed. Number 18, forces faith-based childcare providers out. The bill blocks the ability of many faith-based providers from participating in the childcare system and will lead to many of their closures. Oh, that sounds kind of anti-Christian and seems really good for the children. You know, I know Biden likes to touch and smell children, but you know, this actually isn't going to be good for children. So I'm not really sure what he's thinking there. You know, I know how he loves children more than adults, and he's said that many times. But you know, this is bad for them. You might want to rethink that one, Joe. Because a lot of good people, oh yeah, never mind, they're Christians. Never mind, that makes sense, Joe. Good call. All right, 19, hurts small and in-home daycares, requires pre-K staff to have a college degree. Oh, wow. So that job that a lot of other people used to be able to get when they were younger, this just take more jobs away. But those people can go on unemployment and government assistance. So it shouldn't be a problem. This should be the government will raise your kids from birth to death. So, premature death. So don't worry. Trust them. Build Back Better. 20 includes new incentives for illegal immigration. Illegal immigrants would be eligible for federal student aid, page 78, and the enhanced child tax credit. Wow, they get treated better to be criminals and come over from into this country and pillage our tax money and whatever money that they just blow and create out of thin air with nothing to back it up. That sounds like a sustainable plan. 21 includes legislative haul for Biden's vaccine mandate. Increases OSHA penalties on businesses that fail to implement the mandate up to $700,000 per violation, page 105, and includes a nearly $1 billion in funding for the Department of Labor to increase enforcement of these penalties, page 103. Sounds kind of like we're becoming China, and they're getting ready for concentration camps and forced organ harvesting. But it's just me, maybe not. It's these people have our intentions. If Building Back Better makes organs cheaper, then that's good, I guess. All right, 22. Gives unions near total control. The bill creates a new civil penalty against employers up to $100,000 and subjects directors and officers to penalties that wouldn't apply to union bosses and officials, page 108. It coerces businesses to meet union boss demands by increasing Fair Labor Standards Act penalties by an astronomical 900%. It's just, it's great to just have more and more penalties that can bankrupt people in a time when inflation's rising and people are poor and they're out of work and they can't physically work because they've been poisoned by everything. Food, jabs, everything. Here we go. 23. Makes unions bigger and more powerful. The bill revives a provision from an earlier version that would subsidize union dues that would only serve to strengthen the influence of union bosses and not American workers. That way they can put the union bosses under their control and the whole point of the union is gone. Okay, here we go. 24 pushes Democrats' wasteful and confusing school lunch agenda, $250 million for, among other things, procuring culturally appropriate foods that are toxic in nature, devastating to the human body, and filled with chemicals that they want your kids to have. And since Bill Gates is farming things with vaccines now, do you think his farms are going to go to schools and your children's food supply? Yup. 25. Furthers radical abortion agenda. The bill would also further Democrats' radical pro-abortion agenda by allowing taxpayer money to fund elective abortions, subsidizing plans that cover them, and creating new ways taxpayer money could be spent on pro-abortion facilities. That's some good stuff. And by good stuff, I mean pure evil. 26. Drives up costs on Americans' utility bills. Includes a tax on natural gas, eventually up to $1,500 per ton, that could cost the American economy up to $9.1 billion and cost 90,000 Americans their jobs. Page 361, if you want to check that out. See exactly all these steps of which they are dismantling this country. 27. Includes kickbacks for the left's Green Energy Special Interest Network, $3 billion for environmental and climate justice block grants, page 373, and tens of billions more for green energy special interest subsidies, loans, and other carve-outs to give more and more money to the scumbaggiest of the scumbaggiest, as everyone else can get weaker and weaker and the country can just get closer to being more and more useless. Here we go. 28. Gives wealthy Americans tax credits. Hundreds of billions of dollars in green energy tax credits will be given to those who can afford expensive electric vehicles and other green innovative products. Page 1434. Oh, if good old Nikola Tesla could just see how good and sweet his company has become and how just uncorrupted is that he's slowly becoming the richest guy on earth, and these machines can barely go anywhere without having to spend like a day charging. Useless pieces of garbage that end up having to use fossil fuels in order to power the charging stations. Stupid. 29. Furthers Democrats' social justice agenda, includes equity initiatives throughout the bill. In fact, the word is mentioned 32 times. So instead of saying reparations, they just say equity. Okay. 30. grants deportation protection and work permits to illegal immigrants. The bill would grant 5-year parole to certain illegal aliens who file for parole, pay a fee, and complete a law enforcement background check to the satisfaction of Biden's DHS secretary. That's probably very rigorous. Such a parole would include both travel and work permits, a real ID driver's license, and would be extendable until 2031, page 862. It will be to the satisfaction of Biden's DHS secretary, so do not fear. There is absolutely nothing to fear. This has purely the best interest of you at hand, so you can trust them. 31. Increases visa limit. Democrats would bypass annual limits on immigration by adding unused employment-based visas on top of the existing 226,000 family preference visa floor and recapturing hundreds of thousands of previously issued visas from past years. The bill would also give lottery visas to anyone who was denied one due to the pandemic or because of President Trump's evil immigration policies. Page 865. 32. Grants fast-tracked green cards for those seeking middle-class careers in America. Language included in the bill exempts certain aliens from the annual green card statutory limits and has been described as a hidden pipeline for U.S. employers to flood more cheap foreign graduates into millions of middle-class careers needed by American graduates. Page 867. Pay for that school. Pay for that college now. Go into debt because of it so that someone else can steal your job. 33. Increases energy dependence on OPEC, Russia, and China. The bill includes mineral and energy withdrawals on federal lands, page 912, and overturns provisions included in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that authorized energy production in the Arctic that will result in 130,000 Americans losing their jobs and $440 billion in lost federal revenue, page 933. Sounds to me like Iran, China, and Russia are going for world domination and strategically doing it by taking us out pretty quick and pretty easily and pretty foolishly for everyone that's not getting it. 34. Exacerbates the chip shortage. The bill would fund the conversion of the Postal Service and General Services Administration vehicle fleet from internal combustion engines to electric engines at a time when there is a global microchip shortage and crippled supply chains. Page 936. God, these guys have our best interest in mind. It's so clear that they really care about the American people, and they're not trying to sabotage the economy or anything. That's just foolish. This is totally building us back better. You can feel it. 35. Democrats' feckless China bill is included. Concepts from the insanely weak Endless Frontier Act included, including billions of dollars in research funding that will likely result in American intellectual property going to China. Page 954. Oh, this isn't a Chinese takeover though. That's just we're being friends with the people that are threatening us the most. That's good, because we're helping them just take us quicker. 36. Punishes red states for failing to adopt Green New Deal provisions. Mandates consequences for conservative states that don't meet the radical left's green climate standards, while at the same time adding nearly $4 billion for community climate incentive grants for cooperating states. Page 1013. So that sounds pretty good, huh? So pretty soon there'll be no state that you can escape to. That's a good plan. Here we go. 37. Paid worker leave entitled for the unemployed. The new paid leave entitlement would mandate workers get 4 weeks of paid leave, under which workers could self-attest their eligibility and do not even need to be currently employed. Page 1065. So that's just printing money and giving it to people that some of them may need it, but the amount of fraud induced in these kind of situations is astronomical. So easy for people outside this country, all over the world, to fraud this, and they know it. 38. Advances a totalitarian and paternalistic view of the federal government. Includes grants for organizations to treat individuals suffering from loneliness and social isolation. Meanwhile, they want everyone to go into the metaverse and completely forget about reality and live by yourself and pretend you have friends that are virtual idiots online just like you. Page 1252, that's what that one was on. 39. Further detaches individuals from employment and more reliant on government handouts. The bill spends hundreds of billions on welfare through manipulating the tax code, not even including the expansions of Obamacare subsidies. Page 1636. They care about the American worker. That's, again, clear. 40. Tax benefits for the top 1%. The bill would increase by more than sevenfold the cap on state and local tax deductibility, meaning many of the top 1% wealthiest Americans would pay less in taxes. Page 1729. And this is pretty much making that everyone that these guys like enter the 1%, and everyone else gets taxed into oblivion. And these guys ride off on their golden chariots and have fun, laughing at us. Are we going to stand up? Are we going to do something? Here we go. 42. Expands worst parts of Obamacare. Obamacare's job-killing employer mandate will become more severe by adjusting the definition of affordable coverage to mean coverage that costs no more than 8.5% of income, rather than current law's 9.5% of income. Page 1656. Good old Obamacare. Coming, just staying there, just doing something. 43. Increases taxes on Americans at every income level. The bill's trillions of dollars in tax hikes will be felt by those making under $400,000 per year, contrary to what the White House says, and contrary to what Biden has said for so long, and same with the Democrats, and everyone knew they were going to steal their way into the election and do this no matter what anyway. These guys are pure evil. 44. Lowers wages for working families and moves jobs overseas. The 15% minimum tax on book income is a double tax on investment. This would raise taxes on American companies by hundreds of billions of dollars, kill 25,000 jobs, and reduce wages by 0.1%, all in the name of complying with Biden's desire to appease global elites through a global minimum tax. Page 1731. Build back better, Keep America great. Make America great again. How stupid were we for ever wanting to make America great again? We should have just been doing this, building back better, and making China, just handing them our country. Why did Trump not think of this? Because he actually likes Americans and has respect for life and humanity. My bad. 45. Penalizes marriage. The bill would double the EITC's marriage penalty on childless worker benefits. Page 1651. They love marriage. They love. It's love trumps hate. Remember that. Love always trumps hate. These people embody that. 46. Imposes crushing taxes on small business. Hammer small businesses that file as individual tax earners with Obamacare's 3.8% tax on net investment income. Page 1883. And that tax will go straight into Obama's mansion on Martha's Vineyard and all the tunnels and sick things they do. 47. Violates Americans' financial privacy. $80 billion slush fund to hire an 87,000 IRS agent army that would be used to carry out the Biden administration's plan to review every account with more than $10,000 worth of transactions in a year, except Hunter's. The plan includes hiring 5,000 new armed criminal agents. Wow, page 1923. They could probably just pluck them from the prisons and say, here you go, guys, you're legally allowed to rob everyone. And they'd be like, okay. Let's see. 48. Increases out-of-pocket costs for those who rely on prescription drugs. The bill will repeal the Trump-era rebate rule, which passes through rebates directly to consumers at the point of sale. Page 2114. And imagine what is in between all these nice pages. Probably so many more Build Back Better things. I mean, I'm sure this guy only found, out of about 2,500 pages, I'm sure he only found 48 things that were wrong. Everything else must be good for our country. I mean, just please don't think otherwise. This is good stuff. We're going to build back better, everybody. We can do it, and so can China. Bless you all.